gotta talk about these new Halloween Ends images. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne, and if you like monsters, slashers, pretty much any movie shot during, set during, or inspired by the 1980s, this is the channel for you. I've got two big Halloween Ends updates for you guys today, and an awesome interview with my friend Cosplay Chris. We sat down a couple weeks back here on the channel to talk about being horror YouTubers and what it's like going from being a horror YouTuber who makes custom props to actually working on huge MCU movies. You're gonna want to stick around for it, and if you want to see the other end of it, definitely check out the video on his channel where I'm in the thumbnail, because we just talked about some awesome horror movie news there as well. I'm getting deja vu with this first news story. It's bringing me back to the Halloween Kills days where we got a couple images from Total Film magazine right when Halloween Kills was delayed by an entire year, and then all of the articles and stuff like that that were supposed to come out the year prior actually came out last year before the movie. It was a really weird situation, but this year we're getting all the Halloween End stuff around the same time. There are a ton of awesome images featuring Michael Myers in this magazine. Like, it's getting me really excited. The best one though is one where he's standing on a staircase holding a knife. You get a great look at the new mask. It's nice and burned on one side. It looks a little more aged. You can even see that awesome like mold detailing they've added to it between that 4-year gap that started with the end of Halloween Kills. And there's an even more incredible shot of him standing in the doorway of that house we see in the first trailer. He's holding his knife. He looks extremely menacing. It's the same ish pose we have on the poster where he's standing back to back with Laurie Strode, and it looks like another awesome Michael Myers get up. I like that they've changed it slightly between all three movies. You know, Halloween 2018 had its own look, Halloween Kills had its own look, and even though this is the same Michael Myers in a 4-movie timeline, this mask is just a little bit different as well to fit the tone of this movie, and everything I've seen about it looks awesome. I'm super excited. One cool little blurb I was able to take out of the article that they wrote to tease the actual magazine is about what happens to Michael in the 4-year gap, and I kind of like the response David Gordon Green gave. He said, "We don't really explain that. It's like, I don't want to see where Jaws goes to sleep at night when I'm watching a shark movie. I want to see him when he pops up and he's got an appetite." And I love that. I think it's great that all the people of Haddonfield, it's been 4 years, right? You know, they're probably just starting to get over the event of Halloween night 2018. They're like, we got to move on. That's obviously what Laurie's doing. She's writing her memoir. She's cleaned up her look. She might be married to Frank Hawkins, which would be sweet. You know, she's moved on from this Michael Myers event, and then Michael's gonna pop up when she least expects him, and that's kind of the best way to have it happen. Like, catch everyone off guard, because you know all these people, if it happened like a year after or even in the same night as Halloween Kills, they would be more than ready for him because they know that they can beat him down to a pulp. And yeah, he'll still get up, but then they just bring guns and shoot him a bunch of times. You know, there's ways to kill him on Halloween night 2018, but at least in Halloween night 2022, he's got the element of surprise after that 4-year gap. And yeah, over explaining stuff in movies is like my pet peeve. I hate that we're getting to a point where people are starting to like not like movies if they don't spell literally everything out. I love when movies let you use your imagination and fill in little gaps. I mean, you can definitely take it too far, like if something's not connecting right from scene to scene and the story just doesn't make sense. But there are a lot of movies that definitely have great plots that make sense where people are like, oh, it didn't exactly spell out the entire thing to me and I don't like it. And I'm just never going to get on board with stuff like that. I really like that from everything we've seen and heard about this movie, it's getting back to basics. We're focusing on Allison and Laurie as the main characters. There is, of course, this new element in Corey Cunningham, who's somehow connected to Christine in some way. I think he's going to be sort of a love interest for Allison based on a screenshot we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But yeah, they've definitely whittled down the cast quite a lot in this movie. And the one character where I'm like, where is she? What's going on with this character is, of course, Lindsay Wallace. Now, personally, I think she got a lot of time in the sun in Halloween Kills. So if this movie focuses a little less on her and sticks with Allison and Laurie and this new Corey character, I mean, even if they dropped a line like, yeah, she moved out of Haddonfield after watching everyone she knows die at the hand of Michael Myers, I'd be like, yeah, you know, that's pretty reasonable and I completely understand. Probably one of the smarter decisions anyone's ever made in a Halloween movie, if I'm being honest. Oh, and just going back to that image of Michael Myers on the stairs. I love the framing of it. You know, his left hand is hanging there behind the banister, and you can just barely tell that it is the real Michael Myers. Like, he's definitely missing the 2 fingers on his hand that were shot off by Laurie. It looks like it's definitely healed over and he doesn't need the bandages anymore, which is kind of disgusting, and I love the way it looks. But I just like that little bit of framing where they're like, oh, is this the Michael that has rings on his fingers and like the fully formed hand that you saw in the first teaser, or is this the real Michael Myers who got his hand blown off by Laurie Strode? It's a little tricky. I like it, but you can definitely tell this is the real Michael in that picture. And in the other picture of him standing in the doorway, they're doing the exact same thing. They're hiding those fingers. I want to know what's going on here. I hope this is just a marketing thing and they're trying to just lead people off of the trail before it comes out. I love stuff like that. I think it's cool when you go into a movie not really knowing anything. A great example of that is the new movie Barbarian. I saw the first trailer before a bunch of movies in the theater, but that trailer gives nothing away. And I'm so glad I didn't watch reviews or read reviews or really read anything about it before going to go see it. I highly recommend you do the same thing because, man, this movie, it felt like a really cool 80s horror movie. Like someone reached through the TV and pulled it right out of the 80s, and it's awesome. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, I love that it takes place in Michigan. It's another one of these Michigan movies where a lot of the exteriors are filmed in Detroit and a lot of the interiors are filmed in Bulgaria, but unlike the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, they got the exterior shots right, and you actually feel like it takes place in Detroit, which I think is awesome. Next up, let's talk about the Halloween End soundtrack. Sacred Bones Records once again is giving us a vinyl with John Carpenter's score on it, and they have an art edition just like they did with Halloween Kills. That one was awesome. It was like a silver sort of cover that had a silhouette of all the people of Haddonfield on it. Just a super cool vinyl. I was trying to decide between the art edition and the other Sacred Bones exclusive one. The art edition has a really cool like blood colored and black sort of vinyl, and then the other one has like a black and orange vinyl. They call it an exploding pumpkin color. I ended up going with the art edition just because I love that black and red shot of Michael Myers. The shot where they're like shooting up at him is just so cool on the cover. Definitely just like an awesome trilogy of records. And if you look at the art edition, the actual vinyl record, there is another jack-o'-lantern head. And it's definitely not Christopher Nelson's head from Halloween 2018. This is a new jack-o'-lantern head. Honestly, between the teeth over the stall and carving someone's head into a jack-o'-lantern, you can definitely go back to my reviews of Halloween 2018. You'll see me just getting super excited about that jack-o'-lantern head. That's one of the coolest things Michael Myers has ever done. But yeah, another thing we are able to pick up from the art on one of these soundtracks is a shot of Corey, and it looks like just on the edge you can see him talking to Allison. Now this shot has already been released. I think it's in that first trailer, but it's paired up with another shot in the trailer where there's another Halloween dance. And again, if you go back to my Halloween 2018 review, you'll hear that one of the coolest parts of the movie, in my opinion, that I wanted to see more of was that Halloween dance. I just think that's cool. Like, I've always wanted to go to like a Halloween dance, and then after Halloween 2018 came out, I got to go to one in Salem, Massachusetts on Halloween night, and it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. So having that experience brought to life again in a Halloween movie is just really cool to me, and I'm glad that it looks like they're doing it. But in that shot of Corey and Allison, you can kind of see, I don't know, it looks like they've got a little chemistry there. Like Allison's like trying to protect him, because from the YouTube description on that first trailer, we know the whole town of Haddonfield is basically going to be coming after him because he's accused of a murder. Whether he committed that murder or not, we don't know. But either way, I'm glad that she's sort of moving on. I'm glad that she's sort of moving on from Cameron, and also I'm glad that we're getting more plot points with Allison. I've said it a million times, but I feel like she's kind of got the most wasted potential in this franchise. I think she could definitely carry another trilogy if she makes it out of this movie alive. But yeah, if you don't want any spoilers besides the fact that you probably shouldn't be watching this video, I would avoid the soundtrack's track list, just like with Halloween 2018 and just like with Kills. They kind of tell you the overarching plot of the movie, like the 1,000 Miles Up version of it. And if you've been watching trailers, watching videos like these where people are theorizing, you could definitely see and piece together some of the plot points from the track list. I don't really care anymore. Nothing's going to be as bad as when people were relentlessly spoiling Halloween Kills in my comments, so I'm like hardened to it. And it's a Halloween movie. Unless it's just like god awful, I'm probably going to enjoy it either way. So yeah, the track list doesn't bother me. I just figured I'd give you guys a fair warning. Now let's go over to the interview segment with Cosplay Chris. You're gonna have to forgive me on the audio at the beginning of this one, like just the first couple minutes. I forgot to turn my air conditioning off. I was running it in here before I was filming because there's like a huge heat wave going on in LA. And yeah, long story short, forgot to turn the air off. It's barely noticeable, I would say, but it goes away after the first couple minutes. How's it going, dude?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on the channel. This is quite an honor. I was watching your Friday the 13th video this morning. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so you interviewed me on your channel like a couple weeks ago, and it was a really nice interview. So I feel like I got to reciprocate here. So how did you get started on YouTube? I've been watching you for a while, but I think I still came in after your channel had been established for a little bit. So like, what was the whole journey there?
I would watch like Jeremy Johns, Flick Pick, Chris Stuckman back in the day. Well, obviously I still do. And I'm like, I like talking about movies. I like that. And then also I like building props, and I've been building props on and off since I was like 12. And 2014, I started the channel, and like I started doing movie reviews, not really doing prop or cosplay stuff, even though I changed the name from Horror FX. I was working at Sydney Airport whilst having the channel, and yeah, kind of just grew from there, you know, trying different things, unboxings, collectible reviews, and then the custom collectible series kicked off in, I think, late 2015, early 2016 with the Hulkbuster makeover from Toys R Us. So that was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, man, just doing little things here and there. And then 2016, I got made redundant at my job, and it was like the best thing ever because I'm like, I want to do this full time. So I've been doing it full time since the beginning of 2017. And like, it's like, you get it, man. It's like freelance stuff now and then. It has its ups and downs, but I love it. I love being my own boss and, you know, creating all this stuff for YouTube videos. It's good fun, man.
Yeah, I like the movie prop type videos you make. I love the custom collectibles because I kind of do that on the side too, like repainting toys and stuff is super fun, but these props you make are absolutely insane. And now you're working on like movies, right? Like you've done something with the Black Phone and Thor Ragnarok, or Thor Love and Thunder.
Yeah. So like very like minimal work, but it's a start, man. So for the Black Phone, that was actually for the premiere, the entertainment company who did all the media walls and the setup for where the premiere was in Sydney asked if I could do the mask because I had a performer there that was going to have, you know, black balloons, and that was a couple of days. And then I went to the premiere and he was there, and the guy wouldn't break character, and he's like doing this and then, you know, come over here for a photo. He was legit. And Thor Love and Thunder, I had a hand in building what's called the Dark Shadow Lord, who was at the beginning of the film that wields the Necro sword that Christian Bale's Gore ultimately takes. So he was already 3D printed in pieces, and he's huge. Like, so my job primarily was to put him together, patch him, seam him, because he had like Drax scarification going on. So you got to blend all them back together. And that was 2 solid weeks of doing that. We also had Christian Bale's stunt double come in. So we had to live cast his torso for all the scarification for the doubling of Bale. And then just little bits here and there, man. So that was really fun. So that was at Odd Studio. Odd Studio got the Oscar for Fury Road in makeup. So they're based in Sydney. And then they got me back for a Sigourney Weaver film, a series, The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, and got to make some really cool things there. And did a couple of days prep work on Furiosa, which is literally filming 5 minutes down the road near Cronulla Beach, where I am. There's an old oil refinery that they've flattened, and they've got, it looks like a circus tent. Those, remember, you know, like Cirque du Soleil when they set up the big tents?
Yeah.
If you, when we take our dog to the beach, you look down the coast, you like a kilometer away, you see this big tent. That's a soundstage for Furiosa.
Is there like a dream horror franchise you want to work on? Like, you know, we've got Halloween out right now. It seems like Friday's coming back. I bet Nightmare's not far off. Like, which of those 3 do you want to work on?
Any, to be honest, but like, you know, Freddy's my guy, Michael, then Jason. If all this does come through with Blumhouse, like we were talking about with my interview with you, with Jason Blum trying to get the rights again for Elm Street, well, not again, I should say, but just trying to get those rights and then get Robert back. Like, holy hell, man, if that like came to fruition, that'd be so cool just to be a part of it. Like, even if I did the most minute thing, just to be a part of it. Yeah. And like, if the rumblings are true with what they're aiming to do, like long term with the Halloween franchise, if they're going to revamp Halloween 3 or do the anthology series. I really don't know.
I keep hearing about that.
From like, I heard it on The Thing with Two Heads, that like Sean mentioned it. And then I've heard it from a couple other people just like in passing that I guess they're like really looking into the Halloween 3 idea, which makes sense. I forgot that Universal was the distributor of Halloween 3 to begin with. So that kind of makes it feel more real to me, knowing that like they have the rights to something like that, so they can continue it on with an anthology. I would be so there for something like that. It's a day one. I would love to see that.
100%, man. I think I love that Halloween 3 has had this renaissance and everyone's like, it's actually really good. I understand at the time when it came out, people had mixed feelings because they marketed it as, remember, what was it? The night no one came home. I'm like, how
Which,
long
like,
did it
spoils
take you
the
to come
movie.
up with that?
But today we're talking about Michael Myers because I got a really cool, like, I guess, what do you call it? Like a prop? Like, what do you call this? Like,
Props, man. Halloween props, yeah.
from you, painted and everything. They are like hands casted of Michael Myers in the 2018 anthology or whatever you want to call it. One to hold a knife and one with the missing fingers, unlike the person who was dressed as Michael in the trailer that we just got a couple weeks ago. And dude, I saw these on your Instagram and I was like, how much to buy one? And I got to point out that this Chris would not let me give him money for these. So I was like, you have to come at least talk about them. What is the process of making these? Because they look like so good. Like they're kind of scary.
So first off, they're my dad's hands.
That's awesome.
So I made the original molds for them back in 2018 after the 2018 film came out. I'm like, oh, I want to do these hand sets because I was building a mannequin at the time. I've got piano player's hands. I don't have burly man's hands, whereas
Yeah, me too. Everyone would say.
delicate. They're delicate. We can do finer things. And like dad loves all this stuff that I do and all that. And he gets intrigued. But I'm like, Dad, I need to borrow you for 2 hours one day this week. I want to take molds of your hands. So we had to really figure it out because we were doing it in, the good old alginate, the dental alginate to mold stuff. Right. So for this one, I'm like, can we just get a neutral one because I kind of want it relaxed, and then I'll go in with the casting and take the fingers off and sculpt in all the guts and all that later. And then this one, originally I had a knife handle cut off that Dad held and plonked in the alginate.
Okay.
So I used to cast these, like the right hand with the knife and the blade in resin. I found that some got damaged in shipping. You pack them as best you can, but the rest is up to the shipping company. So that's why I offer them now, and it's optional. If you want to put a certain knife in there, you just got to hit it with a heat gun to make the plastic soft and then slot your knife handle in there. Took a mold of Dad's hand, and then I cast them in a plaster, retooled them, and then took silicone molds and did resin castings. And then the molds were so used from making so many, because I didn't realize that I kind of made them for myself originally. And then I put them on michaelmyers.net, and I was like, oh, can I grab some, put them on Etsy? And then even though silicon's very robust, after a while, the silicon kind of dries out from the heat of the resin curing in it. You've got my updated gore effects on it in terms of the fake blood. So I like to think I've kind of honed in on that with the fake blood.
Dude, it looks so gross. Like, even though it's completely dry, right? Like it's dry, but it looks wet, which is like, that's the coolest thing about it. Like, that looks like muscle.
I'm the same with you, man. I would love to, I want to do a mannequin with this. I want him with my right hand holding a knife and the other one holding the silver shamrock skull mask with all the blood dripping over it, like in Kills. Yeah. I love that. I love that pose. He's just standing there by the car next to the park. Yeah, I do an eye patch for wearing for cosplay. And then obviously I do eye plate. So the eye plate's on this one at the moment. So that's resin. So that's if you want to display him, whereas the eye patch is for cosplayers to wear, and it's like backed with felt, so it's nice and soft on your face. So it just makes life easier. And I didn't realize until I saw a behind the scenes photo of the hero kills mask in the trailer, in James Hugh Courtney's makeup trailer. there was an eye patch there with the blind eye, and I think it's just a comfort thing as well.
So yeah, dude, thanks for coming on the channel. And where can people find you at?
Thank you for having me, man. You can just find me on YouTube, Cosplay Chris, and then Cosplay_Chris on Instagram. And if you just Google Cosplay Chris Etsy store, it'll take you right there to see all the whimsical, fantastical stuff that I make and kit bash together. So yeah, man.